Good morning and a very warm welcome to this rainy day in Kolkata. Today we are going to discuss a film that is going to create ripples all across India. The film is The Holy Conspiracy, a multilingual film directed by Shoibal Mitro. The film was made in the year 2020 when two of the most talked about actors of India were pitted against each other, Naseeruddin Shah and Soumitra Chatterjee, and they acted as lawyers in a legal courtroom drama film. That the film is The Holy Conspiracy. The film features, among others, a major actor-director from Kolkata, Kaushik Sen. Kaushik has been in the trade for more than 40 years now. Born in a family of eminent thespian, Kaushik joined theatre very early on and made his presence felt in television and films. For the last 30 years, Kaushik is leading a very important theatre group from Kolkata, Swapno Sandhani. Beside this, Kaushik acts in films and television, and in this film, Kaushik is playing a role which is very close to his heart. He is playing a journalist, an activist journalist, out to prove a point, out to open and unmask the holy conspiracy that has shrouded the entire Indian subcontinent at this moment. Kaushik, would you like to talk a bit about the role you are playing?
Yes, first of all, this was a great opportunity for me, for that matter, anyone who was in this film, even if someone doesn't have much to play, then I mean, itself watching the two maestros together in a shooting floor, as you mentioned, that was quite an experience and was almost kind of a workshop for all the actors present in those sequences. And I consider myself very fortunate that I had a number of scenes with both of them. And both of them, particularly Soumitra Chatterjee, he's one of my mentors other than my father. So we have a long association. And I was fortunate that I had developed a relationship and bonding with Mr. Shah also later on. Well, that's a different question altogether. But yes, about my role in this film. Yes.
But if we stick with the question already, because you were acting with two actors representing two different approach to acting.
Yes.
Naseerji is a method actor and Soumitra is more instinctive as an actor.
I think in definition wise, these are not in that way correct. You know why? Because since Naseeruddin Shah is one of the most favorite actors of mine, I mean, to me, he's the last word of acting. Considering everyone, even Soumitra Chatterjee, if you call me, if you ask me, Soumitra Chatterjee was a great teacher of mine. But as far as the film acting, even the stage acting is concerned, I was extremely keen to know what the process of Naseeruddin Shah. So I went through a number of interviews, old films, footages before I met him in the floor. And later on, I had the privilege of asking him also. I remember in 2012-13, when we were in Maharangam in NSD Festival, we went there with Macbeth. And Amal Allana ji, she took an interview of mine after watching the play for NSD Archive. And there she mentioned about a book of hers called The Act of Becoming.
Yes.
She edited the book, and my wife Reshmi, who played Lady Macbeth, she bought me the book. I didn't have that much money at that time. She bought me the book from the NSD large format book from the NSD book counter, and there I found an interview of Mr. Naseeruddin Shah, and he was talking about acting, the act of becoming. He said that the role of an actor is nothing more than that of a messenger, and he mentioned about the autobiography called Lamard, which means the carrier, written by Dr. Shriram Lagu. Lamard is the animal who carries goods from one place to the other. So that was the name of the autobiography written by Shriram Lagu. And Mr. Shah mentioned that actors should not consider themselves more than that. Their aim should be delivering the text. Of course, we are talking about a good text here. Delivering the text quite neatly to the audience, to the message to the audience, nothing more than that. And that actually, when I watched him on floor, I found that he was giving a lot of honor to the script. And when he used to come to the floor, his lines were absolutely there. So, when you have grip over your lines, you can do whatever you feel like. And he was not exaggerating. I mean, he was not keen to add on. Instead of that, he was constantly in discussion with the scriptwriter and the director that, can I say this? If the scriptwriter, he used to watch the face of the scriptwriter, who was Jagannath Guha and Shoaib Alda, both were present. And whenever he found slight, kind of a inconsistency, he immediately said, okay, I'll say this. So both of them are disciplined. And I mean, I saw the flares of instinct in Mr. Shah also. And I found method in Soumitra Chatterjee also. So it's not right to categorize them.
Not fair to straitjacket them as method
actors or instinctive actors. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, would you say that the role you are playing, because it's very important to learn and for the world to remember that Kaushik has led a very active public life as a public intellectual, and as an artist activist. He is all across Bengal when people's movements arose in the early decades of 21st century. And he remains among the most prominent faces of civil society of Bengal. And his speeches, his writings are followed by the intelligentsia with much admiration. Now, Kaushik, in this film, do you think that your role as a public activist, as an artist activist, helped you in becoming the character you are playing?
No, not at all. Because Horonath is a kind of a character, I love to play this character because one of the reasons is that when Horonath leads a very dual life. I mean, first of all, he's a journalist. So he was there when the thing was happening. He was drawn into it mainly because of the news. I mean, his first and foremost instinct was that of a journalist. So he wanted news, and slowly he got involved. But even then, if you look at the character, that's why the character is very interesting. That he's not a rational person at all, and that's the reason why at the end of the film, though he had quite a bonding with Anton D'Souza. Anton D'Souza accuses him that why are you disrespecting Reverend Chatterjee? You shouldn't do that. Whatever he is, whoever he is, whatever his philosophy is, you must give him the respect of a human being. And there Horonath argues with Anton D'Souza. I don't care about that. I believe in it. So Horonath, in one way, is not at all a rational person, and he refuses to see the life as a whole. I mean, he sees through his own lens. So that makes the character interesting, at the same time a little bit small. I mean, that's what we are. We fail to surplus ourselves
or magnify ourselves
and when the crisis comes, and whenever we face a crisis, whenever we see an issue, whether it's a political, social, whatever issue, we try to impose our own thoughts, our own beliefs into it, and therefore we fail to judge the situation properly, and that's what is happening all around the country. I mean, whether the people who are in power or the people who are in opposition, I mean, now what the tragedy of Indian democracy is that the people of our country, the poor people, the marginalized people, they are really afraid of both the sides. Whether in West Bengal or in our country, we are in West Bengal, we are afraid of the ruling party as well as we are afraid of the oppositions because we know their past history. You know, the whatever the principal party in this West Bengal, whatever they're doing, we can see that. But we also have the knowledge about the opposition parties. We know what they had done in the past and what they could have, what they could do. Similar thing in India. Just remember today morning in the newspaper when you read that there was a debate yesterday regarding the cross voting of the presidential election, and the accusations are being made that they have been bought. I mean, the MPs, the representatives of our country, they are being bought and brought. I mean, what's going on? So people are afraid of this. So in this context, I don't consider myself an activist. It's very difficult to become an activist. I would rather confess that I'm a failed activist, because it's not easy to become an activist in a country like this. Because if you become a proper activist, you'll get arrested like Tista or Zubair. I mean, today morning, Supreme Court has given some peace to us that one after the FIRs are getting lodged against him, and there's an open offer going on that whoever FIR lodges an FIR, they'll be paid 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees.
Now, given this scenario, do you feel that the role of the press, the power that you represent in the film, in spreading the idea about rationality, about reasoning, about bigotry in the film, that the film showcases in a very strong terms, do you think that the role of the press is getting all the more mired and complicated in our times?
Yes, it has to be. It has to be. I mean, it's becoming more and more complicated day by day, because in order to run a channel or a newspaper, you need money, and this is. I mean, how do you combat with that? And how long can you speak? I mean, it's very difficult. The way the structure is being made, it's very difficult to voice your own thoughts for a long time. There will be, after a certain point of time, you will be stopped. And that's what is happening in our country. But still, the judiciary and the press, still, as of now, are the two only resorts left for the people of our country.
And a film like this,
and a film like this, this is absolutely not a political thing, but this is also something to do with some artistic thoughts. I mean, look at the films happening in Bengal particularly. I mean, I have got no objection against commercial films. I mean, commercial film doesn't exist anymore in that way, but this middle of the road cinema, what Rituparna Ghosh had started, which had a
backing of the middle class
Bengal. I mean, if you go back to Torun Majumdar, Tapan Singh, Ajay Kaur, Rituparna Ghosh carried forward this kind of a legacy, which far more eloquency. But what is happening right now, that too much film on relationships, too much films on the middle class sentiments, personal drama, and lots and lots of thrillers and detectives. They're coming back. Retrospective. I mean, whatever we have done, in the past. I mean, it's why on earth we are going to watch these kind of films? Why the people will watch these kind of films? I mean, the Bengal had a rich heritage also of political films,
Or the films which
which
resonate
at least
with the
it
time.
reflects us, the society. I mean, if you don't, we no longer see uh, uh, the marginalized people in the films anymore.
Would you say, could
The
you
lower middle
give
class,
us
the working
3,
class,
4
they don't,
reasons?
as if they don't exist.
This film, The Holy Conspiracy,
Yes, that's why I'm talking about. This film should be, at least, whether it's a good film or a bad film, I mean, let the people judge it. But at least I hope that this film gets a number of halls and good timings so that people can come, watch, and then negate if they want to, or hail the film. So that should
Be the
happen.
norm.
That should be the norm.
Now, lastly, the film also tells a very clear story of Indian education system at the present, the new history being taught, and how science is being targeted systematically by the ruling party or the people in power. Do you feel the film has really succeeded in capitalizing the opportunity to communicate the message? That's number one. Yes.
Absolutely. I think this is. I mean, when we made this film, when Shoaib Alda made this film, I think even from that time, I mean, it's a good thing that this film is releasing after 2.5 years or 3 years after, because after this pandemic and all. But I think this time the film is far more pertinent, because whatever the ruling party in our country they are trying to do, they are trying to change the history. Whatever, I mean, this thing started, if you remember, when in Hyderabad, in a ceremony in the Hyderabad Police Academy, when Ajit Doval he spoke to the young police officers there, and he said that now your battle will be against the civilians. I mean, the people, against the civil society, and by the civil society they mean the common people, the thinking people, I mean, the teachers, the artists, everyone, the doctors, the scientists from all stratas, and it's coming one after the other. You know, when Amit Shah demands that nothing has been written about the Hindu culture, the Hindu history, the historians are talking about it. I mean, just a week earlier, I had read a wonderful interview by Bhaskar Chakraborty, and he was saying that all these things are utter lies. There's a difference between fairy tale and history. So what BJP is trying to do, they are trying to merge these two things. Hindu sentiments,
the myth, the sentiments with
history. So this is extremely dangerous. This is extremely provocative, you know. So, and this will continue till 2024 unless they come back. So they will try every means of doing this. And education is something which is absolutely a vital thing to get control over.
The minds.
The minds.
Talking of the minds, the film is inspired and partly based on a very famous 1955 play based in America, The Monkey Trial, and set in the times of McCarthyism in US, Inherit the Wind. Now, do you really feel, being a student of history and culture, that McCarthyism is all over India at this present, and a situation like Scope's Monkey Trial is being played out in the open now in India?
It's not only in our country, it's worldwide phenomenon. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I was going through a book very recently. I mean, they have compiled all the interviews of Noam Chomsky into one volume. I was going through that book very recently, and he has explained in his wonderful way that how the neoliberalism is failing all over the world. I mean, it's going through a very dark passage. From there is no point of return, and since it's being stuck somewhere, it's trying to find out vicious ways of occupying the minds and the market from both the sides. And if this thing happens, you know, the governments, the people who are in power, who are actually following the orders of the corporates, following the orders of the rich people, powerful people, they have no other option but to suppress your voice, our voice. So, yes, it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's absolutely true about our country.
Kaushik, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about the film and the role, and speaking your mind about how the film is responding to the crisis that the nation and the subcontinent is facing at large. Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, I hold that the right to think is very much on trial.
A man is on trial.
A thinking man